So welcome everybody to this sixth and last roundtable of the Bermudo de Nanociencia of this year. And as you know, this activity is part of the 10 a la menos 9 festival and is coordinated by the Sociedad Catalana de Nanociencia y Nanotecnología from Barcelona. And our names are Diego de la Vega and Rita Grimal, and we are part of this Science Communication Commission of this society. So, Rita, if you want to present yourself.
Yeah, I'm Rita. I'm a former nanoscience student and happy to be here to share the thoughts with them today.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
We wanted, we want this roundtable to be an opportunity to dive into different themes and different of the videos that you made for this week, and to generate a little bit of debate. So, yeah, we want first of all to introduce the speakers of this week. So we have Stephen Mufamadi from Nelson Mandela University, that he gave a conference about pharmaceutical nanotechnology, innovation, emerging technologies, and for manufacturing and potential for Africa. So hi, Stephen. And
yeah, I don't know if you need me to introduce myself.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'm Stephen Mufamadi from Nelson Mandela University. I'm currently a researcher in a newly established platform, which is the DSI Mandela Nanomedicine platform. This is it's funded by Department of Science and Technology and in partnership with Nelson Mandela University.
So nice. And we also have here Pong Gope from Nelson Mandela University, and he gave a really interesting conference about green chemistry in nanomedicine. So welcome also here.
Thank you. Dr. Mpongope from Nelson Mandela University, South Africa, research associate to Dr. Stephen Mufamadi. So basically in our research lab, we're still fresh. So we're trying to do anything innovative, also green chemistry, because we're just trying to improve the quality of life. Yeah.
So nice. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So now we will start with some questions. First of all, I want for example to ask Stephen, just to start with this conversation, that you explained, and I thought it was really interesting, this technology hub program from the mRNA vaccine for Africa, and I wanted to ask you if you could tell us a little bit more about this project and how it works, and how are you involved in this?
I mean, for me, my presentation is really, I wanted to address the need for Africa to be considered when it comes to the development of nanomedicine. Africa is always behind when it comes to any development. It could be vaccine, it could be medicine, it could be technology. I mean, including for IR, we're always left behind. So for me, my presentation, I was trying to address that we need to be considered. We need African science community to find the need for also participating, not waiting for becoming an end user, to also be inventors on these areas. For me, my worries was that most of technology that are designed or medicine as such, they are now all designed, they're mostly designing in European countries, America and Asia. So I feel like some of these things with the advantage of technology, advanced technology that are available, where some of this technology don't require a lot of a big infrastructure, although technology might be very expensive. Particularly, I was referring to the things around the 3D printing, that if 3D printing is available, it can allow us to formulate and sort of manufacture at the same times. We need to sort of take those advantages, because some of the bigger problem in Africa is that we don't normally have a big investment where we can have a proper infrastructures. But we know that if we can have investment to get 3D printing, microfluidic devices, we are more likely to also have an opportunity for establishing our own medicine. And I also address the issue of having an abundance of plants in Africa, medicinal plants, that I believe that medicinal plant could also give us opportunities on the African continent to use them, because they've been used by our ancestors, our fathers, grandfathers in the years. They use it as a remedy. but we think like maybe because of the advantage of formulating nanoparticles using green materials, maybe this is a high time for us in Africa to start producing those kind of medicine using some of this plant extract without relying everything in a European. And I think also in my presentation, I was also highlighting some recently collaborations that we see that are big pharmas like Pfizer, Moderna, putting a lot of investment in Africa, where they believe that it's high time for Africa to also not rely on European and everyone in terms of their messenger RNA vaccine, which is nanotech-based engineering, that at least we can also allow to do our own manufacturing in our own premises, which for me, I feel like that was the biggest gap in Africa for years, where none of the medicine which we injected, we have no idea where it comes from. We have no idea who injected, what is inside the medicine. But recently to see this kind of collaboration with Pfizer, Moderna, and other big pharma like Johnson & Johnson, we believe this could be the open door for us, for particularly in the nanoscience, nanomedicine in particular, to start thinking about how we can engineer our own medicine with a specific benefiting for our people. So those was more of my sort of like my lecture was focusing on that area where we need to allow us as African to start making our own nanomedicines, and that will be used for therapy for diseases that are common in Africa. Most of those neglected diseases that are European and Americans that are no longer interested, but they're still in our back of our community. People are still dying in big numbers.
Mm-hmm. I think that you are really right, and that sometimes, well, sometimes not. I think that the most investment and the most technology usually comes from this European and from America and from all of this, and maybe it's like sometimes we tend from Europe, and we tend to like impose a little bit like our medicine or our technology, and don't let us and we don't even give the chance for other countries, other areas of the world to develop their own technology and their own medicine from their own problems. I think that's really important. I agree.
Yes, and related to that, you also mentioned like using this maybe traditional knowledge you have about the plant's medicinal features. That's something that has been going on for years, and that maybe could be used for technology and new medical products that could come from something that is ancient maybe, and something that everybody knows, something you know very well, and probably you know way better than other countries and other states. And of course, having the opportunity for you to develop this idea further would be amazing, truly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, this is something that Dr. Mpo maybe will address later about green chemistry, because with the green chemistry, it's easy to synthesize and build of manufacturing using just a plant extract to synthesize these nanoparticles. So we believe, because we already abundant of medical traditional medicine plants that we know they work very well in many diseases, it's high time for us to start considering those medicine to take them into pharmaceutical productions and able to treat or get eradication or combating some of these diseases that are common in our society or continent as such.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, related to that, in fact, we did want to ask Dr. Mpo, which were the main strengths of using the green chemistry to develop new nanomedicines. What do you think are the main, the strengths and the positive outcome of using this kind of chemistry?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. As Dr. Mufadi mentioned, in terms of using medicinal plants, as you know, most of the medications that we currently use, they're actually derived from nature, and some of them are just analogs of the nature-based compounds. So if we're directly using the plants to design the nanoparticles, it means actually we take in those phytochemicals that are already in the plants, and then we put on the surface of the nanomaterials. So basically, it's more like taking a shortcut in terms of extraction. So we're just going to directly use the phytochemicals on the surface of the nanoparticles and then be able to deliver them to the body.
Yeah, that makes sense. But what would be like the difficult points of this process? Because you say it would be like taking a shortcut, so it sounds easier than what we actually do, but we don't do that. No, we do the complicated way of doing it artificially instead of using directly the green part. So what's the difficulty there? Why are we not doing that?
I think one of the most difficulties is like we don't have a choice of the compound that you're actually taking from the plant. So some of them, they might be a little bit toxic. So that's why sometimes when it comes to chemistry, like natural products, you need to isolate compounds that are actually bioactive. So sometimes you might be actually conjugating compounds on the surface that are not bioactive. Some of them can be toxic to the body. So I think the idea also of green chemistry, for example, sometimes you can actually take antibiotics and use them to synthesize nanoparticles. So already because antibiotics are approved, it means that already actually putting in the body something that is already approved. So that is a way of also we can tackle this issue of making sure that we actually put the right phytochemicals on the surface of the compounds, by firstly trying to isolate the compounds that we so that are of interest, and then we continue with the synthesis.
That's like really interesting. And I was thinking also about that you also introduced another concept that I thought it was interesting. That was the safe by design like method of doing things. And how do you think this changed things?
Yeah, the safe by design, I think, is very important because most of the time when we synthesize in nanoparticles, we don't think about the long-term consequences of the nanoparticles. And throughout the, let's say for decades now, there's been a lot of research that has been done in nanoparticles. So already we know in terms of physiochemical properties of nanoparticles, we already know which features are actually bad in terms of administration of those nanoparticles. So if you put in mind when you fabricating these nanoparticles that at least you need to make sure that they're very soluble, you have to make sure that the charge is correct, the size is correct, and also the aspect ratio is correct. I think it can be the best way in order to make sure that whatever you designing in the lab is going to be easy to do in terms of clinical trials and also for commercialization without actually having any major issues.
Yeah. I think one of the things that also, for me, just to not necessarily talking about what Tampo say, is that one of the things that I think this green synthesis as such, or using a plant for medicine, here in Africa, particularly in South Africa, I'll talk more about South Africa because that's where I come from. Majority of people, whether you give them the Western medicine, they always still go and use the remedy. So we feel like if we were to find the balance of understanding how this green synthesis can play a role in terms of formulating these particles, it will make a lot of sense for our people because they believe a lot in remedy, because this is something that comes from law, from our ancestors. They've been using some of this remedy for years. So using a green chemistry as part of synthesized nanoparticles, I think for me, it can enhance a lot of compliance with patients, because majority of people don't like to take this medication with a lot of myth. You know, I'm just going to talk about a myth where a lot of people like comes when you talk about nanotechnology, everything, people thinking you're going to have like a cheap, this is a Western culture for getting rid of African people or developing country people, where people are scared of using this Western culture. So green synthesis or green formulations as such, for Africa, it could really play a role because it can enhance the number of participations of people taking medications, because they trust these herbs. They trust this traditional medicine from years of their using from their childhood with the belief from their ancestors. So definitely, green synthesis has a lot of opportunity. Like also what Dr. Tampo said, some of the things that we must always be aware is when we're engineering this kind of medicines, we need to be really careful in terms of not engineering something that will cause a lot of harm, not only people, but perhaps also the environment. So those are the things that I think it is very important to engineer something that will benefit the people and not also causing the harm in the environment. And then green synthesis, it comes with all those benefits. And also the issue of cost. It's easy to synthesize using green synthesis comparing to this other chemical synthesis or physical synthesis. And also because in African country, where we still have a lot of challenge, including electricity, we don't have massive electricity. We're living with a lot of low shedding now and then. So if we were to engineer medicine using electricity, we might have a lot of challenges. So we think like green synthesis, which is simple to synthesize and cheap to achieve. So we believe it can open a lot of doors for African nanoscientists to now not only doing a research for the research purposes, but also thinking about doing a research, looking at the benefit of the patients.
I think it's
nice.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
like
go ahead.
yeah, I think that it's really important what you are saying, and that it makes a lot of sense. And I was thinking that I wanted to ask you, because you come from South Africa, and I wanted to ask if this kind of strategies are going, or do you think that are going to arrive to all the continent, like to all Africa at the same time, or are there any inequalities in this process? I don't know if I explain.
Yeah, I mean, in Africa, there's always inequality.
Yeah,
Because in
I
Africa,
guess.
we do have a middle people and low income where they have absolutely have nothing. Yeah, I mean, we are worrying about electricity. They have no even anything. They don't have a food. So asking them to engineer medicine why they don't have a food, they wouldn't really consider it as important. So, but however, when it comes to green synthesis, which is something that I've been watching for the past 10 years, is that we see a lot of other African countries participating on the engineering of nanomedicine using traditional this green synthesis. But before, a lot of people were not participating when it comes to synthesizing nanoparticles using like lipids, polymers, because they're quite expensive. So for investing a lot of money on those kind of chemicals, and it's quite difficult for some other countries. However, I know in South Africa, we are more lucky because our government do support research and allow us to reach to the level where we can also learn about lipids and polymers synthesis. So yeah, other countries, they are coming, and I'm happy to see them. Most of them, like I said, they are participating on green chemistry rather than a traditional way of formulation nanomedicine. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. And in terms of projects, I wanted to ask, like, maybe to both of you, but this idea of using the green chemistry, which is positive because people trust it more, no? They trust the process, they trust where it comes from, the idea, everything, and they are more used to it. But Dr. Mpo already mentioned the possible toxicity of this using these molecules that are already natural. And do you think in terms of the project and the funding, this makes it harder to have to work in the toxicity of these molecules before being able to use them, because they are already natural and you can't really change them in that way?
I don't know if you want to answer, but if my side of the answering, I will say, you know, one thing that I like about green synthesis is that you don't necessarily have to use some herbs that is not known. You know, and I see a lot of people using like a simple plant that we normally consume for our own food. You know, you're extracting some product from plant that I normally consume as a moroho, if I were to put in that language, moroho, which means our normally meal that we normally take. So it's when it talking about toxicity is like normally when we're using some herbs that are not known, some herb that people are not consuming. That's why I said one of the things that people, our community or people as such in Africa, they will trust the plant, that using a plant they consume every day as part of their meal, to use it for synthesis, rather than using something completely they're not even familiar. So I said that's why we're using a normal remedy that they use, they will trust quite easily comparing to using some plant that are not known, and that can have a lot of hazard, like Dr. Mpo said, that some of these plants, they're very toxic. Indeed, they're toxic. But using a normal plant that I use for daily life, everyday food, people will trust, because those plant, majority of also those plant or food as such, they do have those kind of phytochemicals that can benefit in terms of formulation. So it's the most choice is to choose something that people are familiar, something that they eat every day. Then they will find it no reason for doubting or worrying about toxicity. And by that, you already know that toxicity part is no longer part of it won't be affecting them anyhow, because they consume this plant in a daily basis. So it's an issue of choosing the right plant. Yeah.
Just to add on that, I think one application that is a little bit simple is for topical application. Let's say you've got a skin disease. Most plants have been used, like for instance, aloe vera. So I think it's much easier to even design nanoparticles like that. And an example that I can make in terms of using metallic nanoparticles, I can say maybe like silver nanoparticles, which are actually used for wound healing. So I think even for us in Africa, we can actually design a system like that, where we can just take silver and then we make nanoparticles using aloe vera. So we can use it for stuff like eczema or any other skin diseases without actually needing to worry too much about toxicity, because at least all those plants and the materials have already been proven to be actually be safe.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like example, you can use, I mean, like one of the students that I'm actually co-supervised is working on a blueberry. So you can see this is something that we eat all the time. So even if you're telling someone this nanoparticle will synthesize using a blueberries, so everyone already know this is safe kind of food. So the toxicity might not be a big issue when it comes to formulating, and maybe might not be a big concern rather than looking at the effective of the formulations of the product. So yeah, so those are the things that for me, I feel like as long as we're using the right materials, right plants, we already passed the worries of our people. Then people can comply with taking medications. And also because these are normal food, we eat all the times, we don't get a lot of side effects. So even if you're formulating nanoparticle using them, we are more likely not to see any new changes as such. So people might likely to consume those medications than comparing to the Western kind of formulations where chemical and physical application were used to formulate nanomaterials. Yeah.
Nice. It all makes sense. So they are all positive points for green chemistry. So we just need to go for it, right?
Yes,
Right now, I'm sorry, I have to go, but I will leave you with Diego for the final round of questions and some more debate going on. It was very nice being here with you, learned a lot, and hope to keep in touch and see you soon.
Thank you, Rita. We're looking forward
Thank
to
you.
seeing you in South Africa. All right, bye-bye. All right, thank
Bye.
you. Yeah.
Well, so now we are the three of us.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's no balance. We need a female. There's no female.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking to continue with this, but I think it's been like very interesting to hear you talk about all these things because one question that came to me is that at which point is this research at? I mean, are there any close to the market solutions already, or all of this is like really theoretical? At which point are we here?
I mean, when you're talking about green synthesis, like already Dr. Mpo indicated, some of the drugs that are in the market, they are made out of nanomaterials.
Okay.
That one we're 100% for sure, we know about it. But materials like green synthesis or microorganisms, extractions we already have a product that are already in the market. But in Africa, like I said, in Africa, we're still early days because it's only now that we see so many of those formulations coming to a research space, particularly green chemistry research. It's still a new area where it's still like the green area. There's a lot of unknown challenges, but so far we see a lot of researchers around almost those local universities that are participating on this kind of a formulation because it's easy to do than comparing to these other ones, which are quite expensive. Yeah. So I would say we're still early. We're not yet in terms of commercializations because commercialization, it comes after you pass through all the clinical trials and also regulation authority approval. So we all know that when you're doing a medical research, it takes a little bit of time because you need to confirm those challenges, toxicity and safety 100%, and you do all clinical trials, and then you can confirm, you can declare commercial part of it or availability in our clinics. So yeah, we are still working on finalizing those kind of stage, but some of them they're already in a later stage. I think in a few years or so, we might see a lot of product coming to our market using this approach. Yeah.
I think that that it's important to keep investing money and to keep investing efforts of people and programs to keep this machine like working, so that this doesn't stop in the early stages, as you say, and goes more. I wanted, I wanted to ask maybe that if this was like just like in my mind theoretic, like thinking about how possible outcomes, and I was thinking like maybe if this technology of using like plants from or like autochthonous plants and food and all these things, if this goes like industrial, like in size, for example, at some point. Could it be like, should we be careful with the ecological issues of this thing? Like, for example, starting like a problem of blueberries that disappear from the food market, for example, because we are like investing a lot of money. I mean, are you thinking of this kind of issues also? Or? it's something for the future to think about, or what?
I mean, we always have to worry about these things all the time. That's what I can say. But it's quite important to make sure that whatever we're embarking in, we need to look at the other future challenges, because we might thinking this is a great platform, but we can see in later that it's not only we're only finding a medicine, but are contributing in other areas. I mean, recently I was talking to some of these pharmacy students, highlighting that although pharmaceuticals do a lot of work, but we do know that big industries, they contribute a significance when it comes to the issue of the climate change, because they use the big infrastructures. They're always burning things. The gas is going up there, and they are contributing significantly in carbon footprint. And this is some of the challenge that I was telling them that, and also particularly in pharmaceutics, a lot of people have drugs that are already in the environment. Some of them, they are within our water, go back to our water. Some of the drugs, they are polluting the environmental areas, like also oceans, where animals now they're taking this medication, and then those are the challenges. So basically, they're always going to be a challenge in the long run. But it's as the researchers, we normally focusing on the initial part, also looking at it in the future. So I think for now, we just want to focus on the benefits. Perhaps we're also going to look at the challenge, as much as we're doing with the vaccines. That vaccines are here. No one knows the long-term effect, because the COVID was 2 years. But if you look at, all of us already injected with the vaccines. So if 5 years from now, there's going to be some mutation in our body, we don't know. So
we will see.
I think, so we always focus on combating the current issue rather than looking at the long-term effect. But it is a responsibility for scientists to make sure that whatever we're working on, we should think about beyond our time.
I think,
Yeah, just to add on that, in terms of natural products, I know in South Africa, there's been a lot of export in terms of natural products. So what the government has decided, actually, a lot of governments have decided that for a certain plant, let's say it's required for medicinal purpose, they'll try to cultivate it. So more like design a farm for that specific farm, so that at least you don't actually create to a point where the plant is extinct. So I think even for us, if you're going to be using certain plants, we might actually need to actually get a farm to make sure that we get actually the plants from that specific farm without actually affecting the ecosystem.
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of this in cannabis. The cannabis, we're seeing that there are a lot of, actually not only in South Africa. I realize I'm watching the news all over. I see, like in our neighboring country like Zimbabwe, they are now building a big farm for cannabis, which you can really see that this is some of the things that everyone, actually, I don't know, people are always want to jump in something exciting. Everyone wants to do it. I don't know why people do this all the time. Someone comes with some new idea. Everyone wants to put investment there. Everyone. You look at all over the world now. Everyone is trying to build some kind of farm or some food productions using cannabis, which you really see that these are the danger part of some of this activity that people do, where we are not looking at the effect and some other challenge in the long run. So
Interesting. I was thinking also, I have some notes.
maybe I don't know if Diego will ask you some question. What are the situation in Spain or European? Now we don't know much about the scale in European. Are there any kind of focus when it comes to the issue of this green chemistry by any chance?
For me, it was a surprise. Well, I think there is work on this. For example, you mentioned, like Paul, you mentioned in your conference something about the chitosan of animals, for example, and all this kind of materials. And I think that here there is I had already heard about this kind of strategies, for example, but I don't think in Spain there is for what I know. Maybe I don't have all the information, but I think that there is not a big effort in this green synthesis, like as you are explaining it, but more maybe in like using biocompatible materials or develop like artificial biocompatible materials. There is a lot of work here, and there is a lot of work also in trying to use green energy and to use green strategies and with a low carbon footprint. That is something that it's people are working a lot on this. But maybe, for example, I think that sometimes we tend to keep on developing like metal nanoparticles, and which are useful, but which maybe we should start thinking, as you said, like the safe by design process. Like maybe we can start thinking already, not in this metal nanoparticle works, and now how do we make it biocompatible? Well, maybe we can start the other way around. We will start with something biocompatible, and then we will see how we can make it work for what we want. So I think that you from this like these specific characteristics of nanomedicine in South Africa, for example, I think it's an advantage for this kind of strategies than here in Europe, that we tend to like we're used to use this kind of non-biocompatible materials, and a lot of articles and a lot of things that you read. This is amazing, but well, they have a lot of toxicity. So we are working on it. And it's like, well, okay, work on it, but maybe you will not arrive to anything. So yeah, I think we should start. We should also learn from this.
Yeah, like I said on my beginning of my presentation, I was saying for us as African countries, we're excited to see Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and other big pharma starting putting investment in Africa, where they want to look at the issue of innovation and production of this vaccine in our local space, which means they because before it was not easy. Perhaps we don't know if it was a trust or something. But before, it was not easy for European to put lump sum of money for manufacturing any kind of medicines. We normally found the final product coming here, perhaps maybe clinical trials done here, but we never see any manufacturing done in our own space. So we are very excited to see those kind of a big investment. We believe it can open opportunity for us, perhaps not only focusing on a green chemistry or this kind of formulation we're talking about. Maybe to give us also opportunity to focus on some of biomaterials, which you can benefit, whatever you're also saying, what is happening in your country or in European continent as such. So we feel like for us in Africa, such kind of investment probably will open many doors for our young scientists to start venturing into other areas that can be more beneficial.
Yeah, I was thinking, do you think that because these big companies arriving to Africa now and investing money, that makes me happy, but also makes me like suspicious of do they have like, could they have like a double coin, like another some interests that, for example, and some big companies go to Asia, for example, to pay like less money to the government or to
manufacturing.
So could this, are there any of these things that you are saying, like that you see in these movements of the companies, or because
I don't know, maybe important to say something, but for me, I want to say, like, I don't know. It's political kind of question.
It's really political questions.
But politically, people will put your investment on your area, knowing it will cost them less money to manufacture whatever they want to manufacture and make big money out there. So we don't know yet. For us, it's like we just say you are here. We can see you now. At least we are welcoming you to be here in our territory where we can see you. Perhaps also for you to groom some of our young scientists. It will make us benefit, because at the end of the day, we want to have scientists that are not necessarily that are international experts that can be trusted anyway in the world. So for that reason, for us, I would say, I don't know these things. I'm not, the phrase is not, they say beggars are not what. What are they saying? Beggars are not what? They say, what is this frame? But beggars are not what? But I can't remember these things. Like choosers, some beggars are not, because we don't have a choice. We can't say come, don't come. If you're coming and you leave something with us, we appreciate that. So also, you must remember, our worry is not only about you coming, perhaps a European or American company, and manipulate our people. We're also looking at a challenge that we have in Africa, where we've got many graduates. I've been complaining about for some time. I said we've got so many graduates, particularly in nanoscience, that they finish their masters, their PhDs, the postdoctoral programs, but they still don't have a job. So if you're coming to our territory or our country as such, and you're willing to absorb some of our scientists, we are happy because we still have a big challenge of job issue. So yeah, so maybe there's some of the area where even if there could be some exploitation in the process, as long as our people are trained and equipped, we believe in the future we'll be expecting we'll be able to do on our own. Yeah.
Yeah, just to add something on that, I think it's much easier to actually do clinical trials in South Africa or any African country because patients are always there and they're always looking for something that can actually improve their lives. And also, I think also because we've got diverse diseases that are actually unique, especially in Africa, like remember with the Ebola case. So if you actually have got pharmaceutical companies that are actually focusing on research, focusing on endemic issues from there, I think it makes it easier to tackle those issues because before they become a pandemic, like what happened with COVID.
Yeah, so absolutely agree with you. Like Tampo is saying, like we believe they are here, they will not necessarily focus on what they're here for. They will realize if they want to deal with this, but we have another condition like Ebola and HIV. These are some dominant disease that will still be a big challenge in Africa. So if we're seeing these big investors, so European and Americans joining us, investing in our own countries, we believe they might not necessarily focus on what they're here for. They must start looking at other opportunities because they are also not looking for invest. They're also looking for opportunity. So they will also look at other diseases that are dominant in the society wherever they're investing the money. Yeah.
I think it's important that to address like that people from South Africa, for example, addresses the problems, specific problems of the people there, and that you take that chance. I think it's a good thing, and also it's important to keep like some kind of distance, and not as you are saying, like you're saying it perfectly. Yeah. So, that's the thing, because maybe these big companies, they are a little bit scary.
Now, those are politics, though. We don't know much about it.
I also don't know a lot, but sometimes it's like, well, maybe we have to be.
We trust our government.
Yeah. That's also true.
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe if you want to add something, or you want to like the last minutes to comment on something that you think is important, and then we will close this conversation if you want. So
maybe you can start. I'll finish. Maybe you can say something.
From my side, I would say, like we've mentioned before, that actually Africa needs a lot of investment in order to make sure that whatever diseases come up, we need to be actually the forefront in terms of tackling those issues. We can't wait until it's too late where a lot of people are dying. So if we get a lot of investment into research and development, I think we can be able to get rid of a lot of social problems that are happening on the continent.
Yeah, I think I wanted to address the same kind of part of the story, that we in Africa, we need a lot of investment. I mean, there's a very good talent in Africa. I mean, like, just to highlight some of the expect to maybe richest people in the world. There are some of them originally from South Africa. We can talk about one example. Elon Musk is a fresh born in South Africa. So you can really see that the passion of science is there. We just need some people who are willing to groom us, to invest on us, and teach us the right things if perhaps we're not doing the right things. So yeah, I think those are my last words, that more investment. If you feel like you want to train us to do the right things, please, you're welcome to come and teach us the right things to do, the right science, and produce quality product out there. That's why I'm happy to see all those kind of international investors bringing their facility in our territory, in our countries.
Nice. I think that's a really nice end message. And well, I want personally to thank you for being here with us in this debate and in this conversation, and so also for your effort and your passion with your work, that I think it's amazing, and I hope that we can see us in other places, and we have other chances to meet and to chat and to keep sharing all of this. So thank you very much.
Maybe just to add one thing, I forget to mention that we are from Nelson Mandela University. So please Google us. Our platform is DSI Mandela. nanomedicine platform. Please, if you really want to work with us, invest on us, please feel free to communicate with us.
Okay.
We are from University of Nelson Mandela.
Yeah, everyone go to search for all their social
Search for
networks
Nelson Mandela University.
and all the web and all. Everyone search that and and go to work with these amazing people.
Yeah, thank you so much.